Hello guys. So in this session we are going to learn how to integrate AWS EKS cluster with GitLab. So as you can see, this is my GitLab repository with the name Integrate AWS EKS cluster with GitLab. So let's start. So as you can see here, this is my article. So now first of all here we are going to learn connect EKS cluster with GitLab. Otherwise you can say integrate AWS EKS cluster with GitLab. So here I mentioned some prerequisites. So first of all, we need a GitLab account. Then second one is we need EKS cluster access, and after that we need GitLab runner or pre-install him on GitLab runner. Right? Okay. So now let's start. So here as you can see here, I have GitLab account, and here as you can see I have GitLab project with the name Integrate AWS EKS cluster with GitLab, and here as you can see here I have created my EKS cluster with the name sample, right? Okay. So now the next prerequisite is we need a GitLab runner. So let's install GitLab runner. So as you can see, this is my article. So if you don't know how to install GitLab runner, then you can follow the article. So let's install GitLab runner first. So here first of all add the official GitLab repository. Okay, it's done. So let's clear the screen first. Then next is install GitLab runner on Ubuntu. So now I'm going to install GitLab runner using the sudo apt command. Okay, so as you can see, it's done. So now let's clear the screen. And now the next is here. Let's register our runner, right? So if you want to check the status and the version, then you can run the following commands to check status and version. Then you can see the details about your GitLab runner. Then after that, if you want to start or stop your GitLab runner, then you can use these commands. So now let's run the sudo vsudo command here. And here we need to add these lines in user privilege specifications. First of all, I'm going to use this command for add the GitLab runner user in sudoers group and set no password. So for that, we need to add these lines here, and then that second one. Okay. So now it's done. Let's save the file using Control X, then Y for save, and then hit enter. Now it's done. Now the next step is register your GitLab runner. So for that, for integrate AWS EKS cluster with GitLab, we need a running runner, right? So how to register runner? So first of all, go to your GitLab repository and go to the settings, then go to the CI/CD. Then here you can see the runners are processes that pick up the execute CI/CD job for GitLab. So here let's click on expand, and if I scroll down, as you can see, runner. So as of now there is no any runners running, right? So we need to create register runner. So how to register? So here is the command to register your runner. So let's run this command, sudo gitlab runner register. Then it ask enter the GitLab instance URL. So for that, go to the GitLab and you click on new project runner. Then choose your operating system. So here is Linux, and then containers if you want to choose. Then tag, it's optional, sorry, it's mandatory. So here my tag will be EKS, and details is optional, it's also optional, so I'm going to keep it as it is. Then click on create runner. Okay, so now as you can see the command, so here is the URL. So let's copy the URL and hit on your, then it will ask enter registration token. So token is here. Okay, so now enter in the name for the runner. So my name will be EKS. Then enter an executor. So I'm going to choose shell. Okay, so now as you can see, register runner registered successfully, right? So let's check. So go to the GitLab, and here you can see the message you have created a new runner. So go to the runners page. So let's check our runner. So now as you can see, our runner and the status is running, right? You can see runner is online. So let's click on edit, and here run untyped jobs and lock the current project. Here if you scroll down, you can see here, if you have this error, this job is stuck because the project doesn't have any runners online assigned to it. So go to the runners page. So that's why here I'm going to edit my this runner and check out this too, and click on save changes. Okay, so now it's done. So we have successfully registered our runner. So now we have GitLab runner. Okay, so now let's start. So first of all, we need a create project, right? So here, as you can see, here I have already project, right, with the name Integrate AWS EKS cluster with GitLab. Now the next step is create .gitlab.ci.yaml file. Okay, so let's create YAML file first. First step, here we need a create project with GitLab. So we have project. Right. Then second step is we need to create .gitlab ci.yaml file. Okay. So let's create. So go to the GitLab, and this is our repository. Now let's create new file. So click on this new file, and our file name is .gitlab ci.yaml file. Right. So let's create. So my file name is .gitlab ci.yaml file, right? So here we need to add our ci.yaml code. So here now I'm going to add my code first, and let's code my Okay, so here's my CI file. Sorry, GitLab.ci file. Okay, so we have successfully created our .gitlab.ci.yaml file. So our pipeline here, I'm going to check. You can see this GitLab CI configuration is invalid. Connect to AWS EKS jobs. So choose stage does not exist and so on, right? Okay. So as of now, keep as it is. Then we will understand the steps and we will add these variables of and so on. So as of now, I have only created my gitlab.ci.yaml file and the code is like that. Okay. Okay. So now the next step is, let's check the next step. Now the next step is here. So let's check our agent. So you can see, so show the agent is empty in operate, right? So first of all, so I'm going to my show agent. So click on operate and you can see Kubernetes clusters. So as you can see here, there is no any agent, right? You can see it's empty. So we need to create agent. So as you can see in my step, third step, install GitLab agent for Kubernetes cluster. So you can see this is the official page for the cluster. So you can see the official site. You can see installing the agent for Kubernetes. So here for installing Kubernetes, you can see the prerequisites. First of all, we need this EKS cluster, right? You can see our EKS cluster. Then steps, first of all, create a agent configuration file, then register the register the agent with GitLab, then install the agent in your cluster. So that's the steps to install your cluster on your GitLab. Then you can see create an agent configuration file. So how to create? So you can see first of all here, to create an agent configuration file, be unique the project that content at most 63 characters, contains only between lowercase alphanumeric and characters, then start with an alphanumeric character and then end with that alphanumeric character. So you can see here in repository, the default branch create an agent configuration file as the root. So you can see here, first of all, we need a .gitlab folder and then after that agent, then our agent name. Agent name is our cluster name. So my cluster name is sample. So my agent name will be sample. And then configuration.yaml file. So let's create our agent. So let's go to the EKS cluster here. Sorry, let's go to the GitLab repository, then go to the code, click on repository. So you can see here location, root project, then official page, right? So let's check our agent name. So our agent name is EKS cluster name, right? Okay, so now let's create our configuration file here, config.yaml file. So let's go to the repository and click on new file. And here firstly enter dot gitlab, then slash, and then you can see then agents, then our agent name, that means our cluster name. So my cluster name is sample slash, then our config.yaml file. Okay, so now here let's check our config.yaml file. So here you can see example of config.yaml file. So here's the example. So you can see here configuration file. So following steps show an example the two possible keys and values for the GitOps section. So you can see the configuration files for first of all GitOps and then manifest project, so ID. So here you can see first of all ID. So in ID GitLab we need a ID. Which ID? Our GitLab repository ID. You can see GitLab org, otherwise cluster integration, otherwise GitLab agent, right? So here I'm going to enter my GitLab project ID. Then reference branch production, then default namespace, then path, then globe. Right here we need to add our YAML files. So as of now here I'm going to comment these two lines. Okay, as of now that's two line will be learned in our next session, right? So as of now I'm going to comment these lines. Okay, so here let's copy the configuration file. So you can copy this configuration file on into this official page of this GitLab. So I'm going to copy this, and here as I said, as of now I'm going to hide some lines here. We will learn in next session. Okay, so now as I said here I'm going to enter my GitLab ID, project IDs, right? So let's go to the GitLab project. So as you can see here, our project ID. So we need this project ID. So I'm going to copy my project ID from here. That 48529462. So let's copy, and here enter your project ID. Okay. So now keep as it is, right? So here replace your project ID, right? Okay. Now let's commit changes. Okay, so as you can see, the file has been successfully created. Okay, now the next step is here, as you can see, let's register our runner, right? Register GitLab agent with Kubernetes cluster. So first of all, let's check our Kubernetes cluster. So how to check? So first of all, go to the operates. So here operate, then go to the to Kubernetes clusters. So now you can see click on connect a cluster. Now you can see if I click on this scroll down, you can see the sample project, right? Because we have successfully created our config.yaml file and our agent name is sample, that means our cluster name. So that's why if I click on this drop down, so our agent name is here, that means our cluster is here with the name sample. So choose our sample, that means our agent, and click on register. So you can see the commands. So we need to copy these commands and access token, right? So let's copy from here to here. And I'm going to paste in my notepad the last. Okay, right. Okay. So now here, let's go to the official page of this. So here is the official page, you can see. So let's go to the official page. So as you can see, installing the agent for Kubernetes, right? Okay. Okay. So here if I scroll down, as you can see the details of about your agent, uninstall agent, then install agent, and so on. Right. So that's the details of about your agent. Okay. So now here I'm going to copy that commands to install using Helm. Right. You can see in my prerequisite here I mentioned pre-install Helm runner, right? So you can see for a terminal, connect your cluster and run this command. The token is included in the command, so use the Helm version compatible with your Kubernetes version, right? So for that we need to run this on our terminal. So let's copy that commands. Okay, so here as you can see in my notepad, I'm going to paste my commands. Okay, so now let's go to the terminals here and let's run these commands. So here, first of all, let's close and you can see the status never connected, right? Now the connection status is never connected. So let's run this command and after that let's check. So first of all, let's run this repo. So let's add this repo. So I'm going to paste here. Here you can see Helm not found because we need a Helm. So first of all, we need to install Helm. So that's why in my prerequisite, I mentioned we need to install Helm on our GitLab runner. So here I mentioned some commands to install Helm. So you can go to the official page of Helm and then you can install Helm. Okay, so we have successfully installed Helm. If you want to check, then run the Helm version and you can see I successfully installed. Okay, now let's clear the screen first. Okay, and now let's run our commands. So first of all, add this Helm repo. Okay, GitLab has been added to a repository. Okay, then next command is Helm repo update. Okay, you can see successfully got an update from GitLab chat repository. Okay, happy helmet. Okay, now the next step is let's copy the command from here to here. Okay, so you can see the status deployed, the revision 1, test written on, and so on. Thank you for installing GitLab Agent. Okay, so let's go to the GitLab and here let's refresh the page and let's check the status. As you can see, the connection status now connected. Why? Because we have successfully installed agent GitLab agent on our GitLab runner. Right? You can see last connected just now. Okay. You can see last connected just now and the agent ID and configuration.gitlab agent sample. That means our EKS and then So you can see the details of about your agent. Okay, it's done. Now the next step is here, right? Status showing connected. Okay. Now the next step is here, add a cube context variables. Okay, so next step is here we need to add this cube context variable in our .gitlab ci.yaml file and agent name, right? Okay, so let's go to the files. So open repository, go to the repository, and now go to the GitLab ci.yaml file and let's edit. Now let's understand our pipeline. Okay, so first of all here, as you can see, we need to add variables. Which variable? Cube context. And in cube context, we are going to add our project name and then agent name. So project name is our here integrate EKS cluster with GitLab, and then agent name is sample, right? Then you can see here I mentioned in example. First of all here, if my project name is like that, right? That means our project URL, then colon and sample my EKS cluster name, right? You can see in example. So first of all, let's add a variables here. Okay, in variable, first of all we need to add our project name, right? So our project name will be here like that. So here is our project name, and then our agent name is sample, right? Okay, so as you can see here in example, right, our project name is like that, and then our sample, that means our agent name. Okay, so let's check for, okay, it's done, right? Now next is add to this stage, right? Okay, we have successfully add. So let's understand. So first of all, connect to AWS EKS, right? So as you can see, connect to AWS EKS, then stage connect to EKS, then images, you can see the image tag latest, right? Then here in before script, we are going to run kubectl config use context and then kube context. So here is our kube context variable, and in variable our project URL and then our agent name. Then in script kubectl get ns, right? Okay, so let's run this. So as you can see, this our YAML file, right? Okay. So now after that, here we need to add stage here, right? So here let's add a stage, colon, then our stage name. So our stage name is here, connect to EKS. Okay. So now that's our YAML file, right? So let's check. So okay, scene stage connect to AWS EKS, right? So let's click on commit changes, and then let's check our pipeline. So you can see our pipeline is running. So let's click on view pipeline and let's check the status of our pipeline. You can see here the status is passed. That means you are successfully run our job. So let's check. That means our job is succeed. So as you can see, job succeed. So you can see here, first of all, here we need to create fresh repository, then checking out this code, right? That means our project ID. Then you can see kubectl config context and kubectl context. That means our repository and then our cluster name, agent name. Then if I run this kubectl get ns, you can see, for you can see our GitLab agent, right? GitLab agent sample and the status is active. Sample because our this is our EKS cluster name, right? So it's done. So in this session we have learned how to integrate AWS EKS cluster with GitLab. So thank you for watching.